welcome back to another conversation episode here with players and protagonists. I'm joined with my friends and family. What it do, T?
What
We
up?
got
What up? What up?
Mars, young Tally over there,
I'm
and
confused.
Loa. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me, fam. I want to start us off with seeing if we got any news, any updates.
I don't have any fun updates. I've just been, with my real life job. I am on LinkedIn quite often and have seen a lot of people losing jobs. I know Xbox's studio just did a round of layoffs, like pretty much right before Thanksgiving, which sucked. Who else? Amazon, I think, Amazon Games specifically, their division just did some layoffs. So lots of gaming industry layoffs, and of course, this is compounded. It's been, I feel like every week you've heard of some studio, large or small, doing layoffs. So sucks to
Definitely.
see. Bungie, I think, just did one a week or two ago. So yeah, it's just like if you can think of a studio leading up to the holidays, they have started doing layoffs.
Yeah, that's real tough, especially around holidays when you know people are going to be trying to like spend extra money for their families and,
Flights, trips, yeah.
exactly.
On
Wow.
top of that, I know a lot of animators have come forward, especially folks who work on JJK as well as other mappa product projects. They came forward talking about how strenuous that whole process has been. Very strict timelines and
Mhm.
just very egregious work setups to get top tier animation, but at what cost? And
Right.
so that really sucks to hear about that going on. And so I feel like there's going to be an animator strike going on pretty soon, just because I feel like animators get worked extremely hard, and they're probably at that tipping point where they fed up with it, because there's a lot of fans
Hmm.
who are like, we don't care how you feel, just give us our top tier episodes. Or if the episode doesn't look good, they're like, oh my god, look at this trash animation, let's find the animator's social media page and complain to them.
Right.
So yeah, I just treat our animators better, treat our workers better, and we here to support them if they ready to argue for some better work.
Yeah, I am curious to see how strike mentality is in Japan because those animators are all mostly based out of Japan, which
Mm-hmm.
has definitely a very different work culture than we have in the United States. So I am curious to see what comes of that. I think it was pretty much unprecedented that animators would have walked off of the set. Like the animators have been treated pretty badly for a very long time within anime. They've always had these short turnaround times. They've always had the pressure to do better and they're underpaid. They don't get cuts of the royalties that other
Mm-hmm.
people might get when the anime does exceptionally well, like a Jujutsu Kaisen. So I am
Mm-hmm.
curious to see, with all of this kind of coming to a head, what does a strike look like for that particular work environment? Because that isn't something that happens very often in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So very curious for
Yeah,
sure.
that'll
Yeah.
definitely be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I hope they get a lot of public support because I think it's interesting to be looking at it from the lens of the people that are actually forced to work these strenuous conditions,
Hmm.
whereas often we just get to sit around and enjoy it. So
Right.
let's try to support them as much as we can.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
will say that for all of course, there's the toxic people who are sending death threats or, publicly on Twitter saying, like, oh, this episode's animation was trash. And then you read some of the animators' experiences and they're like, yeah, we had 48 hours to turn that around
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
stuff like that, which is insane to tell somebody to animate an episode in 48 hours.
I can't
But
even draw one picture in 48 hours.
right. It takes me at
Right.
least 8 hours just to draw, I don't know, an outline of somebody. So to
Right.
say that they're asking them to animate in that short amount of time. But I do feel like there's been a lot of public support too of like, hey, pay these people more, treat them better. At this point, it's about the pay, but it's also about making sure that they have time. And even seeing like other popular Japanese like artists and musicians and stuff. Like I think I saw like Hideo Kojima came out and said something
Mm-hmm.
recently. I've seen a couple of just like musicians come out and say stuff too, like, "Hey, we all enjoy this. We can't enjoy it knowing that people are suffering." So it's good to see
Mm-hmm.
people
Good.
not just worldwide who watch it, but people within that community speaking out about it as well.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yes. Support our animators. Yep.
Yes.
We sure we ain't got no happy news to throw in the mix. We got people losing their jobs during the holidays.
That ain't happy.
we,
Well,
we got
Luffy's
possible.
hat deflated. at the parade, so that
That
was
did
cool.
happen. That
Oh,
was
It
that
That
was
was kind of
I
entertaining.
cool.
swear
Aw.
He
every
ain't
year
even
our
tree
anime
tier.
ones they blow up.
Somebody drew a picture of what his hat would look like if it was deflated in a manga.
My
It's
boy, my
actually pretty
boy,
hilarious.
he ain't even tree tier.
Ooh.
Nah, look. All I'm saying is, as someone who doesn't care about One Piece, I was like, at least it was him and not Goku this year. But
I know who's been victims of trees. I think Pikachu, Goku, and Luffy have all fallen victim to a tree.
And they were all the trees that got him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
yep,
Dang.
watch out for them trees.
Watch out
I
for
wonder
those
how the
trees.
people. I do wonder how the people who do like the parades have to carry all the balloons. Like, do they have to go through a training first, where they're like dodge the trees?
Up,
Yeah.
down.
I'm thinking
left.
about like real time action events. Yeah, press X to dodge the tree.
like the
With the
Yakuza
moving
game or something.
unison.
Yeah. Someone was behind.
Yeah, someone moved Luffy just a little too late. He
Mhm.
snagged that tree.
Crap.
Oops.
Yeah.
Don't gravitate towards the smiling people. We know you want to get closer to them because they're happy to see the character.
But there's
Don't
also
do it.
trees above their heads.
But you know, that makes me think about city grooming and how like that might have been something that should have happened. Like they should have went and pruned the bushes, like and the
Mm.
trees and stuff before, like the
Mm.
branches. Like I feel like that might fall on the city to do that before a big parade like that. You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel
Yeah,
like something
that's
else.
fair.
I feel like something else would have popped it regardless. You know what I'm saying? The tree
Mhm.
wasn't there. Would have been the corner of a truck.
The quarter of a
Mhm.
truck.
Not the
always
corner of a
something.
truck.
It's
A bird.
fated to
Burr,
happen.
burr.
It's
It
fated
was
to
fa-
happen. It's a
It's a
canon
canon
event.
event.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's no way to avoid
Okay,
it.
Miguel.
Well, Super
Uh,
Mario RPG came out. People
Oh,
were kind of
yeah.
happy about that.
Oh, yeah.
Persona 5
Yep.
Tactica.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we do have some good game releases. I still haven't
Nice.
touched Tactica yet, but I will. There's also
Eminem's coming to Fortnite.
we said we were gonna keep the news positive. Thank you.
It's news.
It is news. There was a Eminem just took out whatever I was getting ready to talk
Dang.
about.
Dang.
Tactica.
Once
Oh,
again, your ideas were stolen by the white man. Mm-mm.
I know.
Mm.
Hate to see it.
I hate to see it.
But Thirsty Suitors, it's an RPG. I think Kokrai told you about this one. It's an RPG about an Indian woman who is fixing her relationships and her emotional states, but it works as like a turn-based RPG. Like she has to like fight her toxic exes, or like her exes are, but they're really like a manifestation of how she viewed that part of her relationship.
Yeah.
There's like social aspects of it where she's like learning to deal with her mom or like talk to her mom in different ways. So they have an opportunity to get better or closer, or depending on what you choose, they could become even worse because you chose the wrong options to work with her mom. So it's like Persona, but with a little bit of an older crowd. And
it's made by the same
sadness.
person that did Stray.
yes, it is.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
same. Yeah,
Life is Strange times Undertale.
Right.
kind of. Yeah.
Yo, this game, I was looking at the little clip that they have on Steam, and it
Mhm.
actually looks pretty dope.
No,
Like,
it's
she's cooking for her mom, and her mom's all watching her, but it's
You better
epic.
know how to make an Indian dish.
Yeah, she's
Right.
spinning around cooking it.
Aw, that does sound
So-
fun. That sounds fun.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's
since
fun.
we get into
and-
it,
Yeah.
I've seen a
Hi.
lot of dope indie games. A lot of when you're on Twitter, you see a lot of dope developers making their own indie games.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna try to find the clips of them so we can put it in the description because I don't want to say the wrong name of an indie game on stream. But I saw one game where like they have a dude with a sword, and once you max out his sword level, you can literally parry whole like missiles and nukes and meteors and stuff like that. So that looked pretty cool. And I just found out that there's people who are still making indie games that go on the Game Boy. And so the way that works is you get Visual Boy Advance or Game Boy emulators, and you run their indie game on it. So
How
the
would
indie market's looking
they-
dope.
Are they charging for those games, or is it like people who kind of want to hone their skill and their craft?
I have no clue about the Game Boy one. The
Yeah,
other game looks like it's probably going to be on Steam or another platform like that when it
right.
releases. So that one's probably going to be charged.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just dope. I've been seeing a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see for all the layoffs that are happening in the big industries. A lot of people are kind of veering off and creating their either their own smaller companies or kind of like starting their own little things and doing Kickstarters. Like I've seen a couple of pretty well known like RPG directors or devs and stuff like that who have left, and then you'll see them like start a little Kickstarter for a game that either they always wanted to create and they couldn't because they worked for a larger company. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
if you've ever worked at a large company, anything you create belongs to them most of the time, especially if it has anything to do with what they do. And so
Yeah.
a lot of them are either now that they've been laid off, they're like, oh, this is the opportunity for me to do that thing I wanted to do.
Yeah. I'm loving seeing all of the opportunities to open up kind of those entrepreneurship areas. Thank you for giving us both the side of it where, we got the negatives. Of course, in any industry, we're going to see layoffs hurt people, overworking people hurts people. But also,
Mhm.
there are a lot of people taking this opportunity to run with it and create entrepreneurship. So that's always great to see.
Yeah.
Also, let us know if y'all play any of the games that we mentioned today. We'd love to hear an update on what you think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's jump into our topic for the day. So today we are doing a little bit of reminiscing. Today we're gonna let the nostalgia kick in and think about some of the franchises that we kind of grew up with. I know for me, I've been playing games since I was real small. My dad was someone that introduced me to gaming. So there are a lot of franchises though that have like followed us through our adulthood, through our teenagehood, up to where we are. What are some things that come to mind for you all as far as games that have stuck with you? Through your childhood, through your teenagehood, all the way to where we are now.
I feel like there's a lot. There's two series I was debating between stealing, but I think I'll do the one that's a little nearer to my heart. Ooh, now there's three. Let's start with Shin Megami Tensei. Because, I was thinking Shin Megami Tensei, but then I was like, oh, the Tales of series. Oh, but Fire Emblem. There's a bunch. We don't get to it.
Exactly.
But we'll start with SMT because that one is definitely one that we picked up very young, and I think we all got into around Persona 3. And then I kind of like went back to hunt down Persona 2 on the PSP. And so just like hunting down that series. But that was one of the first, not the first like RPG. I think that was honestly the Tales of series was my first RPG that I realized like, oh, this is a genre that I specifically like. But I think Persona was the first mature version of that. Like I think Persona 3 was the first game where I was sitting there and I was like, he said the F word and the S word. So it was definitely one of the first more mature RPGs that I ever played, and it really stuck with me. And that's a series that, now we're up to Persona 5. That's about to hit GTA levels of still existing. It came out in 2016. We need a new Persona. But we also have all the spin-offs for SMT. We have Devil Survivor and Devil Summoner and the standard, SMT franchise that just came out with the fifth one after 15 or so years
And
since the
Soul
last
Hackers,
one.
too.
And Soul Hackers. Yeah, there's so many spin-offs for the Shin Megami Tensei that I feel like we've all kind of grown up with. And it's just going to continue to go. Like Tactica just came out last week. They are not stopping anytime soon.
Yep.
And there's rumors of a fighting game.
Look,
That is
if they don't come out with a Persona 6, I swear for God, I am going to go talk to Sega and Atlas. Enough is enough. I've seen Joker enough. Give me a Persona 6.
Games that I grew up on. Reminiscing on my childhood. I think first and foremost, Ratchet and Clank was something that I played ever since elementary school.
Ratchet and Clank.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Were they Insomniac? Yeah, they were Insomniac, right? Insomniac was really carrying, a lot of platforms back then. So I know they had Jack and Daxter as well.
Yep.
Specifically Sony. They were carrying Sony. Yeah.
On their back.
Man, I used to play Ratchet and Clank 2, Ratchet and Clank 3, Ratchet Deadlocked. I used to figure out all the glitches on those games. I grew up with those games hard. So every time they have like a new announcement, I'm like, oh man, let me hop onto that. And it's kind of interesting to see the way that the series transforms over time. Because I think they've had different folks building the game. So these like different soundtracks, different senses of humor, different jankiness to the weapons. And so that's been really fun for me. I think that's definitely a franchise that I've grown up with. and I've been really impressed by a lot of the games. I think the first three got a special place in my heart. They're untouchable, but the franchise as a whole has been pretty dope. Another one's been Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts came out around the same time that, um, yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts is
Old.
like, how old is that
That game is
franchise?
old.
It doesn't
20
seem like it
It is
should be
old.
old
It came out
though.
in 2002.
Yeah, it came out in
in
Yeah.
2002.
So it's
But
like
it does
21
not
years
seem like
old
it
now,
should
right?
be.
So
Yep.
It
Kingdom
does.
Hearts as a franchise is 21 years old, and so I've been playing that since a little kid, And so Kingdom Hearts 3 came out when I was in college. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out when I was whenever that was. All the fillers came out between not fillers. All the supplemental stories came out between
The
middle school and high
fillers.
school. So that's another franchise that I grew up with. I think those are
Yo,
the two
let
I
me ask
really
you
want to
this
shout
real
out.
quick.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this real quick. Would you say, well, did you play all the games like as they came out? Like
Uh,
maybe not the same year even, but pretty much like even if it wasn't the same year, it was like the year after. Do you feel like within close proximity to the release of the new game that you played
absolutely,
it?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Because that was a big thing for me too. Because I feel like Kingdom Hearts affected me in a huge way. Like I played 1, 2 Chain of Memory, and
Mhm.
then from there I didn't play another game pretty much until 3 came out. But I had like still
Mm.
kept up with the lore, so like I feel that closeness to it because I feel like at that time that was playing Kingdom Hearts and that they came out like those three, it influenced me in a way that other franchises had. It
Right.
definitely had that influence on me and that draw.
Right.
But I just didn't play each one, so I feel like you definitely like people who did have like a closer fondness of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I played every single game around the time that it dropped because that was just
Mhm.
something I was big on. I was like, oh man, the new Kingdom Hearts game's dropping. The only ones that I didn't play was Coded and the mobile games. Mainly
Hmm.
because the mobile game, the story was just so long and story updates took forever to get. And so I'd rather watch folks on YouTube give me the updates on that. But like all the other games, man, I remember exact places in my life based on those games. Childhood with Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, late elementary school with Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically. Chain of Memories, that falls into that same range. 358 was like middle school era for me. Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop were high school era for me. And it's funny because the only reason I remember my earliest memories of getting into Minecraft as like a teenager is because this was way back when Minecraft didn't even have background music. I would use other music to try to build the atmosphere. So like if I was hunting that night, you know what I'm saying, I would get like field music from Kingdom Hearts. And so I remember I was using Dream Drop distance music back in high school when I played Minecraft because they didn't have music back then. And then three in college. So yeah, every single moment had a certain game with it.
Word.
I cannot believe it's
Yeah.
been around that long. It just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem like
I
it.
definitely, yeah, I was like, no, I definitely can. That's a series that you're right. We definitely all grew up with. And I think T, you and I were the same, where we played as they came out,
Mm-hmm.
in different points of our life because of our age difference. But that was one series that when the game came out, I had it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It didn't Tales of too. I grew up with that. I know
Mhm.
you already brought that up, but
Yeah.
man,
I didn't do
Yeah,
it
I
in depth,
wanted
so
I wanted
yeah.
to point out about the Tales of series too because uh, I have always really liked I liked Fire Emblem games from the jump. Like tactic games were something easy for me to kind of grab onto. I liked
Mhm.
watching other people play RPGs, but I hadn't really gotten that pull. Like I played a little bit of games like Grandia, but it would mostly be like me playing with Mars or something where she's actually leading it but letting me have a say so and what commands and that kind of stuff. But as I got older, the Tales of series was really one of those things that pulled me into RPG games and was like,
mm-hmm.
okay, I do like being a role and learning the life of this character and the character development. And now that's one of my favorite genres. So it was definitely a big one for me. Probably one of the first games that I like boo-hooed over with Lloyd and Tales of
Oh,
Symphonia.
Oh.
I
I lied.
mean,
It's hot.
yeah, I was like, he knows her so well. Like,
yeah, I
um,
remember. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a series. I think what helped us all get into Tales series too was that it did have that that multiplayer aspect to it, right? Like Tales of Symphonia, you could have up to 4 people playing. It's only been the recent Tales of game. Actually, I think as of Arise was the first one that was, I think,
Yeah.
single player only. Up
Which made
until
me
that
sad.
point, it did make me a little sad. I was like, oh no, bring back the multiplayer. But up until that point, yeah, you could have a, second, third,
Mhm.
fourth person I'll play with. And so even if there was one of us leading the story, all of
Mhm.
us could jump into the battles, which I think made it a little bit more of a bonding moment
Mhm.
across
Yeah.
all those different Tales of games. But that was another one, to T's point, that we had on release up until they took that little break. I think it was Tales of Graces that they skipped in America, and then they didn't release it. We went like 5 or 6
Mhm.
years without a Tales game, and then they released it on the Wii. But up until that point, Tales of the Abyss on the PS2, we had like everything that came out in the US we picked up.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Tales of had us by a chokehold, man.
It did. It still has me by a chokehold.
Yeah, that's
That was like half the stuff sitting on my shelf as characters or Tales of characters.
how many Tales of games have I stolen from Mars at this point?
I know that I've just bought again because I've understood I'm never getting them back. I just rebought Berseria because I was like, I'm not getting that game back. It's gone forever.
And the case is so cute. Okay.
That's what made me mad. Do you have my metal case?
Crazy.
Do you have my steel
Yes.
case? Okay.
Yes.
Now wait a minute. I know I didn't give you the steel case. Okay, I'm gonna come back and jack you for that
That's
case.
okay. I'll
I
take
have-
the box. I'll take the regular plastic
No,
box.
yeah, we'll give you. We're gonna trade out for that plastic case.
Look
but I
what
need
you
my steel
did,
case back.
Talisman. Thanks
I
a lot.
remind you
Look.
every 2 months to beat that game. You're on the final mission. Just
You
beat
were really
it.
on the final
Bruh.
mission, and I really want to talk to you about how tragic it is, but you won't beat the final mission, so we can't talk about it.
Arguably,
Yo.
she's stuck. She went to the point of no return, but
Yep.
she needed to go. level
I
up
have
a little
I
bit.
have no revive feathers.
You walking in there with no
I
life
have-
bottles.
Yeah, life bottles. I've got no life bottles. I've got no apple gels. Maybe got like 3 orange gels.
That's a skill.
And,
Well, next time
Yeah.
you start,
and
up,
I
next
can't
time
go back. I can't leave. Like I
To
just
throw
gotta
that
beat
thing
it.
on easy mode.
Yeah, that's all you can do now. Put it on easy.
Next time you start up, just go to the last save and pretend like you never made it there.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, what was your last save before that?
She
That's a
probably
good
overwrote it.
question.
It was a minute. I remember she was very upset because it had been
Ooh.
like a few hours.
Okay, if it's just a few
was-
hours, you can do that. That's fine.
But I remember.
I'm gonna have
she
to redo
accomplished
that
a
whole
lot.
dungeon.
She
I don't.
accomplished
Oh, it's
a
like an
lot.
entire dungeon. Yeah.
And you know what the
Okay,
last
yeah,
dungeons
no.
were too, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those last dungeons in Arise were, man. I was going
Treacherous.
through it.
Yeah.
You
And
gotta
then,
do that.
I don't know if you remember, but like in Arise, there was like an area where there were like 6 pods, and each pod took you into like a secret boss fight, or
Mhm.
like many little boss rush, and then there was like an extremely powerful boss in one room. I
Yep.
had not been near a save point for like 3 weeks, man. I just was in there, and I was like, "All right, man, I'm getting smoked by this boss." I had to go on YouTube and watch people find a way to cheese it, because I was that's all I had left.
No, Arise was rough. That final dungeon, I replayed through Arise to get my platinum, and I just stopped when I got to the final dungeon. I was like, we're not doing that one again. So I got the trophy. I'm out. We are not finishing this game ever again.
That's what I would have done too. That's why I don't
Yeah.
want to go back right there.
Nope, I understand. Those Tales dungeons or something else.
There was another game. Oh, another game that played a huge role in me learning about how much I love
Final Fantasy
video
12.
games. Not 12, not 12. Dirge of Cerberus. Dirge of Cerberus made me obsessed
interesting.
with
Vincent.
not only Vincent. I got so into Japanese rock music at that time. I'd just be like,
Oh yeah,
Vincent
'cause Gact was
Valentine.
big
Gag-
around that
Gag
time.
did
Yeah.
theirs, either the intro or the outro for it.
Mm-hmm.
I had Vincent Valentine like wallpapers. It's really when I got connected to the characters of Square Enix stuff, the attacks. Like I felt like going into the other Final Fantasies after playing Dirge of Cerberus, I was already like, ooh, I know what Faraga is. And you know, like just getting that intro into Square Enix in that Final Fantasy world through Dirge of Cerberus was big. And that's also what led me into my love for 7, my love for Advent Children. When they came out, I was all about it, made my mom buy it. And 12, of course. And no, that's 13.
That was 10.
10. That's 10 too.
Yeah. 12 was the one we got stuck on because our TV was too dark to see
I don't
stairs.
ever
That's why
want
I jokingly said 12.
My mind mentally blocked out 12. That's what it was.
Your mom blocked out 12.
Yeah. Hey, we don't
Stop.
mess with 12. No. But 10-2 was great because I remember even our parents were getting involved with it and like remembering the song that you and them were singing. So
Mhm.
Final Fantasy has held my heart in its hands
Yeah.
like a
Oh,
little
Final
where's
light.
Dragon
Fantasy.
Quest?
Dragon
Oh, Dragon Quest
Quest.
is a
Dragon
good one
Quest.
too. Dragon Quest, back when it was Dragon Warriors, because there was some type of
Yeah.
weird copyright issue. We had Dragon Warrior 7 that
That's true.
is now released as Dragon Quest, but that was like the first game I feel like we had that had multiple discs. That game had 4 discs for the PlayStation. It was a long behind game.
Yeah, that don't make no
Hey, yo.
sense.
Oh.
Yeah. And there was a certain point, they fixed it when they re-released it for the DS, but there was a certain point where if you missed, because the whole thing with Dragon Quest 7 was that you were putting together pieces of a map to go back in time into that part of the map.
Right.
Mhm.
So there was a point where you could miss, like I locked myself out and had to start the entire game over on the PlayStation because you could miss a fragment. And if you went to another world before you got that fragment, you were kind of permanently locked out of getting it in the real world. And that game was longer than any Persona game I've ever played. So it was definitely like 100 hours in. Locked myself out. Guess I got to start over in this
That's
200-hour game. It was tragic.
That's sad.
Yikes.
But another great series and a huge, like very popular series that we talked about Yakuza or Like a Dragon before and how Ichiban's brain works as if he's in Dragon Quest, right? So
Right,
it's cool
right.
that not only did we grow up with it, but it's such a popular franchise. I think a lot of people have grown up with that. You see it kind of seep into other media and other video games because it's so
Yeah.
big. Yeah,
I low key feel like they coined slimes that you see everywhere nowadays, but I'm just
I think they
saying.
did.
They did.
Actually,
I don't want
Yeah,
to say
think that
anything
was the-
untrue, but
I think you're pretty. I think you might be true on that one because I remember reading somewhere about how like Akira Toriyama is kind of credited for the creation, the the conception of a. I was like, I don't know how many
Slime.
extra syllables I was trying to add to that word, but slimes and like a couple of other monster, just like general monster designs that a lot of people have picked up since.
Hey, let Loa cook though. Let Loa cook.
Yeah,
so for
Loa.
me, okay, there's always I'm the oldest of the bunch, so there's always the Mario that's I'm never gonna forget, and the normal stuff, the Sonic, the original Sega, the Dolphin,
Mm.
Echo the Dolphin. Um,
Echo's dead. It did not grow up with us.
So,
Never
and
gonna
then
game.
I had Crash Bandicoot that I used
Yeah.
to love.
Another
Mm.
Insomniac classic.
Man,
Yeah.
now it gives me anxiety. Like that ooh boo guy, I'm like, that's it. No. Or
That be
like the
scary?
countdown.
Aku is your friend.
I know.
Yeah, he
but
wants to help you.
he's like, oh, he's too much. Like, I'm like, I'm grown. I'm not a kid anymore. This is too much for me. But
Yeah, too much energy.
in my head, I want to play Crash Bandicoot so bad, but then I'm like, I'm over it. And then of course Mortal Kombat. You guys, now
Yep,
the way
Mortal
y'all
Kombat.
felt about Final Fantasies and all that, every Mortal Kombat, every
Yep,
single one
yep.
I had. And I was not a Tekken person, barely a Street Fighter.
Oh,
And don't come
Tekken.
to me talking about
Tekken.
Tekken. I am Mortal
Tekken.
Kombat all day, all
Tekken.
the way.
Tekken.
That's my heart, but
It's that bald headed guy with the hair. Like,
Hey, Hachi.
Hachi.
that guy.
Why
That guy. 'Cause his hair is like this.
Everybody
That's
knew
what
who
his
she
hair
was
is like.
talking about,
Yeah,
though.
dude.
It worked.
It was honestly the pose that
It
got me.
worked.
She was like, it was
Yeah.
like how she was out there in the streets, like, hey.
That's
Exactly.
I could not stand him. And then let's see, what else did I grow up with? Link and Zelda. I stopped playing them for a while. I really want to get back into them, but that's the game where I was just watching my dad play all the time and like, oh, okay, I love this game. And then one day, one of my friends came over and erased it, and he's never been the same.
Ooh.
He doesn't play
Oh.
games the way he used to.
It scarred him.
Ever since you broke.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, but that used to be my game right there, and they used to be us. Like I'd always be sitting there while he's playing. Like, oh,
I love
there's
the.
ghosts.
But I'm,
Yeah.
so
I'm
glad-
sorry, I
so-
didn't mean to
Go
interrupt.
ahead.
I was just gonna say I love the fact that a lot of our memories of our fondest franchises is connected to memories with people that we cared about or that we wanted to bond with.
Aw.
That is
It's
very
really
true. I
cool.
mean,
Somebody play some sad Persona music.
I know. Even with the Tales of series, I think the reason we ended up getting is because Dad saw anime characters in a bargain bin.
Yeah,
We would not.
exactly.
I don't think we would have ever played Tales of like because it was on none of our radars. So he just picked it. It was like anime in a game. We're like, oh wait, this is dope.
Yeah, we're like, wait a minute now. What did you get us?
Yeah, you found a treasure.
Yeah.
Man, I'm
How
so
come-
glad that you brought up fighting games though, because you brought up Mortal Kombat, then that started making me think about Street Fighter, Tekken, Virtual Fighter, Soul
Soul
Calibur.
Oh, I
Calibur.
forgot about Virtual Fighter.
Yep.
That can go in the
Oh,
trash
yeah.
with Tekken. No, actually, it's better than Tekken. It's
Whoa,
actually no.
Bipolar
I take that back.
opinions.
Hold on. I take that back. I take that
Bipolar
back. I
opinions.
take that back. I take it back. I take it back. Because I'll probably play that at an arcade. Like, well, we have what's up? I don't know if I can say the name here because I don't want to give nobody no free promo. But you know that one arcade we have here? It doesn't cost too much, and it has all the arcade games.
Yeah, I know that arcade. That one.
I actually will play.
I know who
I
you're
will
talking
play
about.
Virtual Fighter there. I do. That's my go-to. I actually played that before Street Fighter. So.
And
Um,
I haven't
tragic,
looked at a
okay.
Virtual Fighter game in a while, but do the character designs really like? Do they get new outfits and stuff? Or
no, there has not been a Virtual Fighter since the one we had on the PS3.
Uh-huh.
They did a remaster of one for the PS4, which is basically like a dragon, Yakuza. For Yakuza 5, they completely redid Virtual Fighter and put it inside the game as an arcade game that kid you could play.
Okay.
And so they basically ripped that out and sold it as a standalone, which it was like $10. So it's not like they sold it for a bunch of money, but but basically
That's
they had
funny.
already done
They already
this and
did
they had
it.
just pulled it, and put
Yeah.
it on the PS4. So there's not been a new Virtual Fighter, like a truly new Virtual Fighter, in a very, very long time.
And maybe that's why, because it wasn't that good.
I liked what's his name, Go, the man who was clearly dead.
Yeah, Go was
The
definitely-
old man. Yeah. But that does bring
don't
up
remember it.
Tekken
Okay,
because
what
it's
about,
so
let's
great.
just get back. Boom. What about Soul Calibur? Now
Soul Calibur
that was
also
my
is solid.
and all the different versions for the different
Soul Calibur
consoles.
was great.
And the crossover
Yeah.
characters.
Like, can we talk about
why do we not have
Zazalamel?
another one?
Can we just talk about Zazalamel?
That's how you
Zaza.
pronounce it.
Yeah,
Zaza.
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 Yeah.
He was one of the I definitely like. Well, so that's the reason I give Tekken and Soul Calibur both props. They're both made by Namco Bandai, but they both introduced some cool black fighting characters that weren't like Street Fighter. I'm sorry, but you had
Dawson?
the man who was
Dawson is in black?
the mysteriously ethnic
He would
man
fly- he would
who
sit
could
like-
stretch his body. And then you had DJ who was a basketball player,
Oh,
and the other guy
man.
who was a boxer. Like, as far as like stereotypical,
Yeah.
not saying that Street Fighter wasn't
Yeah.
still kind of ahead as far as having at least black characters, but as far as they went, they were
said-
kind of in their realm of stereotypical. Versus you had
kinda dated.
Zazalamel, who was a god,
A
right?
god.
You had what's his name, who's the ninja, Rain in Tekken, who's a ninja.
Raven.
You had Raven, thank you, Raven, who's the ninja. You had the guy who Leah liked to play, who did Eddie with the
Eddie
capoeira.
Gordo.
Yeah, Eddie
Oh.
Gordo. You had like
And
some
that's-
variety in the
I ain't gonna-
type
I
of
ain't gonna
black
hold y'all.
characters you saw.
I ain't gonna hold
Yes.
y'all. When I was a kid, I had no
Oh,
clue what
man.
capoeira was. I had no clue what capoeira was when I was a kid, so I thought
Oh,
they
what?
just had a breakdancing black man in the game.
Oh,
And
Yes!
when, I, and
Breakdancing.
when I got older and found out what capoeira was, I was like, yo, this is the coldest thing ever. This that dude from Tekken.
Right.
Wow.
And then that's when you realize they were ahead. I was like, oh, this isn't just a breakdancing dude. This is like, yeah.
Yeah, it
Which
was,
is why I give Tekken and Soul Calibur props, because they brought us black characters that didn't feel like stereotypes.
also growing up I didn't get exposed to a lot of Korean like representation of Korean stuff. Yeah, so it was cool getting to see the difference between having someone like Jin and having someone like Hwarang, and that they have completely different cultures that I didn't really get to see as often because Japanese was what was in front of me when it came to gaming. So
Yeah.
definitely was cool to get to see a lot of other cultures, whether it be Asian cultures, South American cultures, or American cultures, North American cultures. It was just dope to see.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Tally, what are some games that come to mind for you? What
'Cause
you
I
grow
feel
up
like
on?
so it's been kind of hard for me to think about because there was a period of my life where I wasn't playing games for a minute. Like, I hadn't got a new system. I wasn't really like using money on that, mostly just because I got busy in my like later young adulthood. Like
Hmm.
towards the end of high school, I couldn't buy games and stuff like that. So it wasn't until mid adulthood, like my mid 20s, that I had like my own money and could spend money on gaming again. So it's been hard because there's a large gap of time that I wasn't playing games. But there are some outliers and stuff that I still feel like really close to even to this day. So for instance, Pokemon. Now, like as a like franchise, Pokemon is weird, right? Because I have this like nostalgia for the original three generations, but I still love Pokemon that came after those generations. Even though
Yeah.
Generation 4 I didn't get those games until like maybe a year and a half after they dropped. I never played 5 like until later adulthood, and same with 6 and 7 I didn't play until later adulthood. But once I got back in it, it was still like the love was still there, and I still cared about what was there. But just the impact Pokemon had in my life, even though I don't think like the series is as meaningful to me, like as a narrative, but just
Hmm.
more so the connection to that time period and watching as since Pokemon has come out, it's really endearing to know that every generation brings new connections. And even in the next 10 years, Pokemon will probably still be going. I'll have
Mm-hmm.
something to connect with the youth about in 10 years from now. And I
Yeah.
can still talk to
Hmm.
them about Pokemon because I'm always going to be interested.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a series that I really feel I grew up with. Just in that every year I'm still going to grow with it until I'm gone, probably, or until Pokemon just really ends, which I don't think it's ever likely.
That's
Oh yeah.
wild because I think Pokemon really truly is one that grew up with everybody. Because I remember
Mhm.
like
Hmm.
we went from what was it? It wasn't was it Game Boy? No, it wasn't Game Boy. But it had little
Game Boy Color.
cartridges. Yeah, Game Boy
Yeah, the
Color.
It
color.
was the color.
Yeah, and then you would choose
It
like
came out for the Game Boy.
yeah, and then
I
we had
got my
DS, and we had it just
my first ever Pokemon game was one of Loa's games that she had started, and she let me take over her account with my dog. My
Oh
dog.
yeah, that
Hey.
daggone Venusaur.
The Venusaur. Yep.
Hey.
Yep.
yep,
So
Yeah,
yep.
and it's just like that Pokemon evokes such a reaction when you go to start like a new file. It's a new journey. You
Mm.
get to choose who your partner is. You get to like, explore. And even to this day, even as like some of the older fans or even newer fans want different mechanics and more mature themes, they don't want to miss what the core aspect of Pokemon is. That will
Right.
always be there. Even with
friendship.
a new game like Legends Arceus, that game flipped what Pokemon could be on its head. It still had those core elements of exploring, choosing a partner, and and just being in a different environment, in a different world. So
Right.
that's
Yeah,
that's why I
that
really
was
feel close to
genius.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some other series that I could spit out there. Like definitely Crash Bandicoot beat every one of those games, the first three until they did the new one, and then I didn't get that game. But Spyro 2, I played a lot. Like
Thank you for
those two
releasing
Oh,
games,
me.
I
Yeah.
played a lot.
Spyro.
Even
Mm-hmm.
after I was like older, like even in my teenage years, I was going back to play Spyro because it was like, oh, I could beat this game in today. I
But
could beat this
Yeah.
game today
They should
because
Spyro
it was
re-release
was
just that's how much I
Spyro.
played those.
They did re-release a trilogy. There's
Yeah,
Spyro trilogy on you can get it for PS4
wait, did
slash
they like
PS5.
remake it or just
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
They did
What?
it with Crash and in Spyro.
Yep.
Cute.
Both
I
of them.
got the Crash. I didn't get Spyro.
Yeah.
But one of
I
the cool
have
things about Spyro is that every time there's a lot of positive reinforcement in Spyro. Like people are
Hmm.
always like, "Thanks for doing this, Spyro. You're the best." Like it
yeah.
just
And
makes you feel
Spyro's
Even
like
like,
you're
yeah,
supporting
I
your
know.
community. Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
yes. Yeah.
Exactly. He's just
Even
like,
though greedy money bags tells you thank you,
"Uh-huh.
even though he
Yeah.
robbing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But
it's one of
that's
them
a
feel
different
good
thing,
Money
though.
games.
bags.
It's like you're
Yeah.
welcome.
It's a grimy thank you.
I'll be
Yeah.
back. I'll get you.
I'm gonna fight you one
I'll
day,
find
but you're
you.
welcome.
Yeah.
A game I'm glad kind of phased out is Earthworm Jim. I did not like that game.
Oh, I forgot about Earthworm Jim.
Earthworm Jim was great.
Yep.
It's just a platform.
No.
I got
Earthworm
stuck on
Jim
some
is
level,
terrible.
and that was it. And I've never ever tried it, never played it, and I was like, "This is dumb anyway." So, like, what a
could
waste of
say-
time!
Worm
What a
anyway.
waste of time!
So I can say this: the Spider-Man games. I've played
Oh,
nearly every Spider-Man game that's existed. Like as on the 3D in the 3D space. Like I don't think there's been one Spider-Man game except for maybe the dimensional ones.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones I haven't played, but I've played every one of them except for that one. Spider-Man 2. Both Spider-Man 2s, they're both original ones, and then the movie versions. And then even to this day, the latest Spider-Man 2 I got and enjoyed. And it's
What-
just Spider-Man's always my favorite he's my favorite superhero in general. So growing up with the comic books, that was a thing that me and my mom connected with. She grew up when comic books started and pretty much were taking over the entertainment industry, written entertainment industry. So as a kid, that's something that we shared from the cartoon to the movies and then to the games. And it was just kind of a point of connection between us that, you know, when a new Spider-Man game came out, I was always going to get it. It was no question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, another one of those games that are bringing us closer to our loved ones, getting us more connected. I think that's a really cool piece. We could talk about these games all day. I don't think anyone mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog. We could talk about that by itself.
Yeah, I didn't even get
but
to
that.
that.
But
Yeah.
that's, but that's
I,
not
I
good.
slightly
well,
mentioned it.
You sprinkled it in there, but we
Yeah.
didn't really
Yeah.
dive in. But
Yeah.
I appreciate you all jumping in. This has been a great conversation with you all. I want to invite everybody out there to, one, don't forget to join our Discord because we have some great conversations in there. But two, please drop a comment. Let us know, what are some games that you grew up with? What are the games that really helped you connect with your loved ones? And stay tuned for part 2, as we will be talking about a fun little school activity with our anime peers. Stay tuned, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
And don't forget to subscribe. Click the
Bye.
link.
Yes, click the link, subscribe.
Catch y'all on part 2.